Hello, everyone. My name is Darius J. Wright, and I've been having out of body experiences my whole life. As a child, I've been doing out of body experiences, not really understanding what they were, accessing things. And it wasn't until I started to get control over this state, I started to realize that you could have control over the out of body state at will, controlled, leaving your body, accessing the other side. Now, what a lot of people, which I'm excited to be on this platform, is because when people have near death experiences, they they think that that's just a one-time thing, and this can be done controlled and at will, accessing it, accessing the other side, accessing those things that you access through an out-of-body state, because an out-of-body state is no different from a near-death experience. It's a near-death experience controlled. So when you're leaving your body, with me, what I've throughout the years of doing this as a child and understanding this, I've accessed a lot of things, the other side. What people have a lot of misconception of the other side is they believe that it's just airy fairy, but it's not. It's all the pleasures of physicality with no limitations once you leave the body. Once you're there, your soul is physical. There's contact. It's everything that's here is there. All right. You also access what I've accessed through the out of body states is the construct. And the construct is the very thing that we live within. This place is intelligently designed, just like our bodies are intelligently designed. All is intelligently designed here. And when we understand that, we can start breaking down how the body functions based off how the construct functions. I've accessed dead relatives as well. Uncle Bob, which is telling me about the great work, which is waking people up to the other side. And the many different realms within this construct. 12 realms, supposed to be 13. This is why 12 originally 13 months, all based around 13. And all this connects, all the things that I've figured out as well. The records, what people call the records. It's not necessarily the Akashic records, but there's many different forms of records based off this construct. There's your soul records, which is your soul experiences. There's the records of creation itself. And there's the records of the realms in this construct as well. This is where you get the heavenly records, the cathedral records, halls of the mente, which I've been to these places as well. So to wrap that up of what I do, it's basically it's a controlled NDE, and it's not that difficult to do either, because when you realize the physical body has a electromagnetic field, this electromagnetic field is typically very aggressively attacked. This is why certain things within the physical body become dormant. When you increase your electromagnetic field, which is for people that need to use science, which is scientifically proven that your heart is an electromagnetic field. When you increase this field, also awakens certain cells within the body to activate as well. All right. This is why there's such an attack on the physical body. But once you are accessing the other side as well, your soul, once you come out and you come back within the body, you'll find many near-death experience people as well that confirm this as well. When the soul comes back into the body, certain things start to awaken, whether that's another language at the extreme level, or just certain things within the cellular, your cells start to wake back up, because you start to understand again and realize, standing for the second time, this is where you get born again, is that you are an infinite being. Your soul is eternal. You never die. There's no such thing as death. And all continues forever. Once you're there, okay, there are beings that you will come into contact with, beings that I've been in contact with that I don't necessarily remember when I'm there the first time. It's like I know them. It's almost like I've known them for all eternity, but I don't remember their names. And like, so you communicate with these beings as well. And the longer that you're there, the more this memory starts to return back to you. I've already covered the great work as well with my Uncle Bob shared with me, which was waking people up to the other side. This comes down to my soul mission of what I'm still here for, because I've been offered to stay on the other side many times, more times than I could count. I remember even calling people close to me as well, saying, you know, if I choose it, whatever, but I'll keep that on the lower end. But there are, my mission is the great work at this moment. And it's not necessarily something, it's something that I'm pulled to do, because I understand that by not doing that, the pain that I'll carry on the other side, meaning when I do crossover for good, that there still is pain that you see there. I remember my Uncle Bob showing me certain things that I withheld unconditional love here, certain things that I could have done, that when he showed me that, it brought me to my knees in absolute pain. And it wasn't that he was judging me, because no one's judging you. It was that I was judging myself. So that's pretty much what I'm doing here, is trying to spark as many flames as I possibly can to get people to understand that that your soul lives on forever. The other side does exist. It is real. It is your home. And a lot of people have been away from home for a long time, and they've forgotten what that feels like. And this is why they're in a constant state of fear, panic, anxiety. But it's a place that is forever present. When you're on the other side, the soul doesn't die. It's an eternal being, doesn't die. This is where I'm going to take this in two different directions. But this is where, when you're on the other side in your soul, when you want to experience something, you could create that. A lot of people are creating this already through dreams. They're creating their paradise. Sometimes it's hell, based on what they're thinking, because what you think, you manifest into creation. This is as basic as the physical sense. When you think of something, we are creator beings on the physical sense and not the soul sense. So what you think when you're out of your body instantly is there. It just manifests right in front of you. And so when people are out of their body and they understand how to navigate this, they could start to have control over their dimensional spaces. Not only that, the soul does create things. This is why we have this place we're experiencing now. Now, when it comes to the physical body, why incarnate or come into this experience? Because incarnation is an event that only happens here within this construct, the earthly realms. Incarnation does not exist anywhere else, because your soul does not need to be birthed into a creation and then die to exit it. When you're there and you're experiencing certain things, you pop into a reality, a realm, a construct for your soul to delight in its pleasures. And then when you're done, you pop out. You retain all your memory. You don't go through a forgetfulness process. But here, through the information that I have access, I'm going to say this as plain as what I've said in other interviews, this construct was created to experience that which we are not. And in short, I'll just leave it at that, because to experience what we are not also gives you a certain perceptual wisdom that could have never been birthed unless it was experienced. This is why when you go...
Prior to Contrave, my eating habits were horrendous. It wasn't until I found a nurse practitioner and her saying, well, let's talk about how you eat. She said,
into the awakening process, a lot of people think that being awake is an airy-fairy process. It's love and light. And although love and light does exist there is a broad of different emotions that your soul experiences other than that. And once you wake up to that, I mean, then yeah, it's changes everything. We're not living necessarily in a simulation. A simulation is already coming from a false premise of something that is not real. All things in creation, everything is created by the eternal soul. That soul, whatever it creates, what people call a matrix, is still an organic energy created from the source head. You see what I mean? So even the most hellish experiences are created from the source head. It comes from something, right? There's a thing which people can then start to think about as well. This is also in Star Wars or whatever. Yeah. You have the light side of the force and the dark side of the force. The light side and the dark side are still using the same essence of all creation, the force itself. And so the same thing, there's a bedrock to when you go way out to the beginning of things, there is a source of energy that creates all things. And this is love, unconditional love. But many people have been so forgotten the true power of that, where they think that love is just a passive state, when love is just as much, could be used just as a weapon, just as much as creation itself. This is where I give the example as well, a mother or a father, but typically I'll just say a mother. If the mother has a child, okay, has unconditional love for that child's put in danger. Due to the unconditional love, that mother will pierce through all barriers. So the bedrock of all things, the energy source is love itself that creates everything. So when people talk about simulation as something that is not organic from some creation, it comes from somewhere. It all has a source and it goes way back. Everybody's a main character. Yeah, the main character of their own movie here. Yeah, a lot of people like to take the back seat, but everybody is experiencing here. They're the character of their own movie, essentially, and they can take control over that. This is why people have been so weakened to believe otherwise, that they cannot take control over it. This is why they lower the electromagnetic field of the physical bodies. That's why there's such an aggressive attack on many different fronts here. You have the attack on the physical health of the body to keep things dormant, right? The spiritual warfare, you could say, people say get rid of ego, all these things, because who you are when you leave does not change. Nothing changes at all. It's all who you are at this very moment will not change once you leave and you cross over. Will not change at all. The only thing that will change is the longer you're there, more will add to you. You'll get more memories of your past lives, of remembrance of things again, time, dimensional spaces, the construct itself, its very creation, and the creation of all things. So that's the thing that changes, just more memory, but you stay the same in terms of who you are at this very moment. But some people do sign those things where I want to do this and such. And so they will meet with certain people or things will come in their experience for that. This place also has fixed events. Like I said before, when you understand the design of the construct, you'll realize that it has, when you see it from the other side, you realize that this has cycles, certain fixed event markers. Now, time itself, all right, time itself is, you can't necessarily pinpoint it, but you can pinpoint the event markers. Like, let me give you an example. December, the months. Okay. December is going to come, but the days to get to December is unknown. But there's an event marker, and let's just say December, I'm using the months as an example, but there's an event marker in December. December will come, that event marker will come. So the construct has preset event markers. This is why when you go into the records in the outer body and access certain things, you'll see as well, and also physically you could see in the text, history repeats itself. There's certain cycles and stuff like that that have been repeated here many times. The reset, the great floods, the old world, essentially, the giants, the angels, heaven on earth, all actually happen here. All right. The halls of Amenti is actually part of the Atlantis as well. All was here. So there's a point in time within this entire construct where all things were open to all souls. All of the realms were open. All of the other land masses were still there. There's other land masses within the earthly realm that are here. This is where a lot of URT races are, right? When you go beyond the poles, this is why they have the Antarctic Treaty. You're not allowed to go past a certain point. And why do you think that is? Because beyond that point are certain things that they don't want the public to see. And these things are, like I said before, is where you get these beings. Okay. I remember being out of my body, seeing part of in Antarctica, some of the original bodies, giant bodies, are still in stasis. The pyramids are there as well. Certain pyramids that are still activated as well. There's still activation points here within the earthly realm of pyramids underneath the ocean. All right. So at a point in time, all of this was open. And so when I talk about that time, heaven on earth, for example, right? That's not here now, obviously, but that was at a point in time. Always here. That's why you have all the history here. You can find all the history here, fragments of it, the ones that they haven't destroyed anyways. There is a completion to this of what I've been showing. And I was showing that as far back as 16 years old by being called Celeste. And the completion of this is what I was showing was a celebration of remembering all things again. And so remembering all things is remembering all things again. The remembering who we are, where we are, the beings that are actually have been here this entire time. People call ETs, extraterrestrials, etc. All come again. That's what I was showing. So yeah, you could say also if you are biblical, if you need to go through the lens of the biblical sense, heaven does come back on earth again, essentially. But it's a yeah, but it's an entire completion of this entire, you could say, experience. Because what I've also been shown that all that has been experienced, or all that could have been experienced, has already been experienced by some soul within the entirety of this construct. This is why there's been so many history repeating itself over and over and over again. So the religious text, God, every individual is God. Every soul has their source Godhead. When people come from a place of merging back with the oneness, and then you lose your sense of individuality, collective talk, that's not how it is. You as a soul, your individual soul is its own source Godhead with every other soul, having the same capabilities and abilities as every other soul. The freedom to express themselves, whatever way they choose to express themselves, the ability to create whatever they choose to create based on their soul's expression. That's why I said before in many of my other interviews, you cannot have ultimate expression of freedom with a limitation. Your soul is fully, it's free to do those things. So the biblical side of things, when you look into the text and the biblical things, a lot of those things are true. A lot of those things are true. Okay. This is why it's actually also, it's true, but it's distorted at the same time. They distort it this way. There's truth in there, the very construct that we live within. A lot of people are very religious, and then they look at how God created the construct, the waters above, but somehow they believe and give their power away to something that is not of the creation of this place. You see, and then they start to serve the very evil that they try to fight against, not even realizing it, because underneath the mass deception, eyes or can't see. You see, so they've taken religion and they've riddled it with fear. And the number one way to control the soul is fear. As soon as you have fear, you start doing things and acting ways in a place of not knowing, because you fear. The reason why you fear is because you don't know. It's a fear of the unknown, fear of loss. And the other side, there is no loss. It's in a state of love. And in love, there is no loss. There is no judgment. There's no fear. There's no control. It is free always. So, and most of it is, some of it as well goes to the physical sense in religion. The text is parables and fables of the physical body, the electromagnetic field, the cloudstone of the brain, traveling down, all those things is man-made. The current version of it now, like I said before, there's still truth within the text, within religion. There's truth there, but then that's undercoded through fear, and also it's almost like the what's the best way to explain this? Chinese whispers. So the original version of the text was very simple, okay, and then through destroying the records physically here, history resetting or whatever, his story, etc. Then you start to get passed down whispers, you know, and then by the end of it, you're actually not getting the story. If the story was such over here, you're not even hearing that by the time it gets here due to all the distortions, and that's sort of what I'm talking about. But a lot of the religion has been distorted in that way because the original stuff was all for self-empowerment of the physical body and the soul. understanding the very construct, the realms, dimensional space is 13. The original language, frequency. So a lot of people are speaking, not realizing that their words hold power. It's very powerful, especially when you start speaking with intent. And that the words that you speak have it's essentially, it has this whole, when you start to speak a certain way to yourself out loud, you will start to vibrate the cells to basically sync with the frequency of what you're speaking. This is why you hear people healing themselves. They heal themselves because a miracle, what people call a miracle, because they believe it to be so. They say, I'm not going to be sick, and then they start healing themselves. And, this has been proven as well, placebo, stuff like that. If you believe something with that much conviction, well, it's going to happen. When people talk about God, they talk about God as a singular being. And this singular being has control over all things. And that's not, it's, that's control over everything. But it's not, God is not one being, it's all of us. It's every single soul is its own God. Okay. When it comes to this construct, the creation of this construct, what I've come to through the out of body stuff is as above, so below, as within, so without. We have 13 months, supposed to have 13 months. This is why they did 12 months. The moon, 23 days, right? Every month's supposed to be, sorry, not 23. Every single month is supposed to be 28 days based off the moon and stuff like that. So 13 months, 13 beings was the creators of this construct, the 12 realms, 13 beings, etc. That's what I've gotten anyways. But God as a singular being that created everything, it's all of us, every single soul. Yeah, so the whole creation of everything is based off of frequency, energy. Everything is. The physical body in and of itself is an electromagnetic being. That's what the physical body is. It creates an electromagnetic field. Your soul is an electromagnetic being. So everything in this whole creation is frequency. It's energy, sound, which creates certain tones. This is why every single soul is so uniquely different. When people say that we are all the same, that couldn't be further from the truth, because we are so uniquely ourselves that we actually aren't even close to being the same, because we have our own individual soul's expression, our own individual spark, our essence, our frequency, our tone that is not like the other. This is why when I was back in 16, and also all the other experiences that I've had through controlled out-of-body states, which is a controlled near-death experience, where every single soul is so unique that what I was shown for myself is that because of the uniqueness of each soul, without that soul being there, things would become out of balance. Things wouldn't actually even be the same. This is why when you do cross over, you remember beings that you don't even know here right now, but you know them. You sense their frequency, their essence. It's all there. We all know each other. This is why when you fully transition, cross over, or through control, or what I'm talking about, all is seen. Everybody's naked, essentially. All is known and seen by all souls through the records as well, because everything's recorded. Well, the energy and frequency is the future well, that is health. Once you start disrupting the electromagnetic field of the body through food, certain foods, through frequency, then things start to break down. I mean, like I stated before in the beginning of this, those that need science, which science is a whole other dogma, but those that need science to understand this, it is scientifically a fact that your heart generates an electromagnetic field. So what in this field extends out past the body. This is why when you walk into a room, you can instantly sense something. You could feel something. This is why two women walk into a room or sharing the same space, they will start to share their same cycles. They will sync because you are an electromagnetic being, also sharing that you're communicating with each other. This is why when someone gets sick or cold, it's not necessarily that they're passing a cold or a sickness onto somebody else. It's because their field is triggering their another person's field to detox. Yeah, it's triggering that to detox. All cold sickness, what people call viruses, all detox mechanisms based off the toxins that you have within your physical body. Let's just say if you want to manifest something in your life, for instance, you start to imagine it. You start from the beginning, right? Beginning, there's the void, the darkness, right? And you birth light into creations. You're going to start there. You close your eyes, you see the black space, the beginning of all things. You start to imagine it, you birth the light into creation. Light is always secondary from darkness. You see, darkness is the true state, the void, the black space, and light was always birthed from the black space because the void holds all the colors. So you start there, you start to imagine it, you start birthing light into creation, you envision what you want, imagination, envision it, manifestation into creation, what you want. And then when you see that, then you hold that focus. You have to be focused and hold that focus on that, your desired result and your desired outcome. And as you start walking, you need to start walking that path, using your words, and walking in integrity, walking in love, and not stepping out of those things, not getting distracted over here or distracted over there. Just tunnel vision on that, what you want, essentially. Because once you think about this, once you focus that amount of energy, your soul, your electromagnetic field, the soul, and you funnel that energy into one thing, it's like a speed train there, you see, other than somebody that is this and this. And it's the same thing with the out-of-body stuff, the out-of-body state that I teach, teaching people how to leave their body. The people that have success with this are the people that are able to focus, disciplined. Yeah. The out-of-body experience of, because I know we have time here, but in short, your physical body has an electromagnetic field, is what I've stated many times with.
Hey, if you live in one of these cities right here, why don't you own an apartment building? Seriously, let me show you a path that could absolutely change your life and unlock financial freedom. You might be thinking right now
with me talking here. Now, this electromagnetic field, the magnetic field of the physical body, is very strong when you're awake. This is what glues the soul in. All right. When you die or death, that field is gone. So therefore, the soul is able to freely exit. Okay. Now, there's a way to do this controlled. You could lower the magnetic field of the body controlled to a certain state that allows the soul to freely exit. We do this every single night when we're going to sleep anyways, but people aren't aware of it. This is where they access their dreams, and this is where you get the out-of-body state, the controlled state of what I'm talking about. People lump this into the astral lucid dream and all that stuff, which is not what it is at all. Because what they are accessing there is dimensional space stuff, dreams, stuff like that are all dimensional space access points, thought forms. What you think is you're creating a dimensional space, that which you will experience. A lot of near-death experience people talk about this as well, where they have a strong belief system of something negative, fearful. They experience that temporarily. When they do die and they cross over, until they say, I've had enough, they step out of fear, and then they access all things again, whatever, that they'll access the light again, right? I like to put it into this scenario too. I'm gonna go back to what I was saying before, but I want to go in this direction. That a near-death experience, and this has been confirmed as well with someone that's been practicing the principles that I teach, that has had a near-death experience himself, but also has had a controlled out-of-body state by applying what I teach. And he said that the out-of-body state was actually more, he brought in more information through the controlled out-of-body state than he did his near-death experience, because he was going in there with intention, with focus. And through thinking that through hearing that, what he was telling me as well, which is also on my YouTube channel as well, that testimony and stuff, is when you die near-death experience, it's almost like being pushed out of a plane. Like let's say you have two people, they're skydiving. Person A, is skydiving, person B is skydiving. They're both in the plane. So having a near-death experience is like being pushed out of the plane, not realizing where you're going, what's happening, where you're going to land. As a controlled out-of-body state is like buying a ticket to get on the plane, getting a briefing of what is actually going to happen, the certain places that you get access when you jump, how to land in a certain place. This place will lead you here, 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 here. And so then when you jump out of the plane, you know exactly what's happening, where you're going, and it's not all this chaotic, you know, what happened type of deal, you know. But the out of body state is basically controlling the magnetic field, lowering that field to a certain state to where the soul could exit. And it's very easily done.